be honest, even if it wasn't working, I probably would have held the mic anyway. I'm very in touch with my hunting-gathering instincts, and it comforts me to have a tool in my hand. So, some of you may not know this, but there was once this time called the 80s, right? Now, I've never been there, but my parents have. They lived there for about 10 years. So they knew Margaret Thatcher. Well, could anyone really be said to have known that? And living under her reign, it had quite an impact on their life. And it came across in my childhood. You see, my parents were never very religious, so Thatcher filled a role akin to that of Satan. You know, the charismatic yet intimidating figure who espouses ideals and ways of life that sound quite tempting, but that you should probably steer well clear of. There were other ways she manifested in my upbringing. They'd use her to teach me important life lessons, like, if you don't share your toys, you'll develop the perfect personality to thrive in this grossly unjust capitalist society. Or, if you don't eat your greens, 1984 will happen. I couldn't kiss anyone for years because I thought I'd start the Falklands War. Speaking of things that used to be cool, like the 80s, the government is still trying to stop people smoking. And clearly, it's just not working. And I've thought about this, and I think what they need to do to stop people is to just tell lies. Outright, brazen lies, and if they tell enough of them, eventually people will start to believe them. It's like talking to kids, except with the impending sense of death. And I've got a few examples here. If you smoke a cigarette, there is a 99% chance you will die. Everyone else has just been incredibly lucky. Kevin Costner's Waterworld is a scientifically accurate portrayal of a world in which people didn't stop smoking. Smoking is also the blame for Kevin Costner's Waterworld. Now, sensitive viewers in the audience may wish to turn away. This is a stock photo of a man before he started smoking. And this is what he looks like now. This man was married with 3 kids. And this is him today. Who could love him now? Shocking. Now, people are always talking about how we should learn from the past and about the good old days, and I've been trying to work out just when these good old days are. I'm thinking maybe mid to late Cretaceous? Dinosaurs. They had it right. They basically had the world's only fully functioning meritocracy. If you were good at biting, you got fed. If you didn't protect your eggs got ate. And if you're a small mammal, you run and you hide. Until the asteroid came along and effed it all up, that is. The asteroid is basically the man. It's the asteroid's fault that we can't put a pterodactyl in the White House. A velociraptor can't make it big on Broadway. Damn asteroid. Who's to say that just because a Tyrannosaurus Rex has weird, tiny arms, he can't fulfill his dream of starting a trendy, upmarket vegetarian cafe? Speaking of things that are really old that you'd hate to find filling a theme park, I've got a few poems of the Bible. It's just not that reliable, is it? I mean, you've got all these stories about the incredible things that Jesus did, but they're all from his mates. How do we know it's not just one of those, my Messiah's better than your Messiah scenarios? My Messiah can turn water into wine. My Messiah can walk on water and wine. My Messiah can cure paralysis. My Messiah can shoot lasers from his eyes. My Messiah is literally the Son of God. Alright, fair play, mate. Now, what we need is a portrayal of events from the other side. We've got the Gospel of Mark and the Gospel of Luke. What we need is the Gospel of Judas. And I'm talking about something written by the guy himself, not some Jesus fanboy Gnostics. All I'm saying is that maybe it wasn't just about the 30 pieces of silver. Maybe if we saw his side of events, they'd tell a different story. Monday. Today, Jesus Christ turned my bottle of Evian into a bad claret. He could have just gone to the shops. Tuesday. Jesus made a blind man see today. Meh. Wednesday. Had supper with Jesus and a couple of mates today. The bugger only went and forgot the fish. But it's okay, because God's his dad. Miracle my ass. Thursday. I was chatting to this guy called Pontius Pilate today. He seems like a nice bloke. Friday. Sunday. See? You just came back! What's so annoying at me for? Now, did you know there was more than one guy called Judas in the Apostles? I mean, imagine being that guy, right? It's a name that's been soured by one particular individual. It's like being lesser-known German humanitarian and puppy cuddler, Alan Hitler. Speaking about the unjust persecution of a well-meaning individual, I had my first altercation on public transport the other day. Picture the scene. It's a crowded bus, all the seats are taken, and people are lining up down the middle. It's been a bumpy ride, and I've already seen a fair few strangers accidentally caress one another. An older couple gets on board, and as is the done thing, I offer the woman my seat. To my surprise and dismay, she declines, saying something along the lines of, "Oh, don't worry, you're all right, love." The bus comes to its hardest stop yet. The passengers visibly sway as the world begins to slow. The old woman starts to topple backwards, her hands reaching for the bus poles. They find no purchase. Instinctively, I reach out my arms in a vague attempt to stop her descent. My hand finds her bag. She releases. There is a thump. So, essentially, instead of being the hero of the day who saved the lady from a potentially nasty spinal injury, I'm the guy who took an old woman's handbag as she fell to the floor. Fortunately, she didn't bang her head and she began to rise again. Not like that. It was then that a passenger approached me and started using no small number of rude words. He may have been talking to the passengers either side of me as well, but in that moment, it definitely felt like he was asking me why I hadn't offered her my fucking seat. It was as if he'd asked me why I pushed her to the ground, hog-tied her arms and legs together, and tried to shove her out of one of those tiny windows. Admittedly, if I had done that, he might have been right to critique me. So here was my dilemma, folks. I'm standing in front of a bus full of strangers, being accused of not doing something that I did in fact do, whilst an old woman whimpers on the floor. I'm exaggerating for effect. Now, I'm actually quite a tender soul. I was way out of my comfort zone. I did manage to stifle a soft, but I did offer her my seat. She said she didn't want it, which is better than such sheer silence, I suppose, bearing in mind I was still holding her handbag. What was I supposed to do? Stand up, chest out, stare the guy down and say, "Actually, I did offer her my seat. If anyone's a fucking idiot around here, it's her." Inferior dexterity. But I didn't do that. And I think I maintained the moral high ground for it. And everyone on that bus knew it, even if none of them backed me up. Bastards. So, I emerged from the bus, safe in the knowledge that I was a good person. And then I torched the lot of them and went about my day. Thank you, I've been Jim Huckster, and if you're a small mammal, run and hide.
Jim Huckster!
Good timing. Do you think Hogwarts ever got an Ofsted report? They could probably do with one. I mean, their curriculum is terrible. Every student has the arithmetic and language skills of an 11-year-old muggle. Sure, they might be able to turn a blast-ended scrooge into a coffee table, but can they find the length of the hypotenuse? They might be able to kill a man with a single word, but I bet they can't spell onomatopoeia. I bet they can't even say onomatopoeia.
I will say one thing about Hogwarts. They've really got knife crime under control. You don't catch any students sneaking a blade in under their cloak. Instead, they just all carry loaded weapons in their pockets. It's the NRA solution. I just also think they're not really setting positive aspirations for the students. They fail to recognise that every pupil has a complex and unique array of emotions. Instead, they just assign them one of 4 personalities when they start, and then they're stuck with it for 7 years. Whilst we're on that topic, Slytherin. What's going on there? I mean, I guess most parents eventually have to come to terms with the fact that their kid's a prick. So at least Hogwarts standardised the process. But come on, Slytherin, you guys are really bad at dealing with your own image problem. I mean, your house ghost literally killed one of the other house ghosts. His name is the Bloody Baron, for God's sake. You'd think that'd be a clue. Can you imagine if you found out that your child had been sorted into Slytherin? Alistair's getting very good grades, top of his class. I was so happy when Eliza got sorted into Hufflepuff. What house is your son in? Ravenclaw? Gryffindor? No, actually he's in, Slytherin. Oh, I didn't know your son was evil! He's not, but he's in Slytherin. Not everyone in Slytherin is a bad person. There they are, look! It says right there on the badge in Latin. Slytherin, for arseholes and Nazis. And Snape, I guess. Got any Super Mario fans out here? You're familiar with Wario, right? For those of you who aren't, he's basically like Mario, except fatter, meaner, and yellower. He looks like this. He's a clone, basically. What do you think the design process was on this character? I mean, the red Italian plumber who jumps on tortoises idea was solid gold for a video game protagonist. Why don't we do it again, but make him a different colour? I love it. But what about the name? Mario 2. Super duper Mario. Oh no, he's evil this time! Guys, I've got it. My God. This is why you're the president of our multi-billion-dollar company. What if all authors designed villains with the same rationale as video game developers? Shakespeare didn't need Iago. He could have just created War Othello. What if when God wrote the Bible, instead of having Jesus hang around in the desert trying to resist the temptation of the devil, he just had him have a good old punch-up with War Christ? Moby Dick would have been a lot more fun if Captain Ahab had just shoved a harpoon into Captain Wahab, instead of having to consider the futility of trying to seek revenge on nature, or whatever. So, I was recently filling out a form for a trip to the US, and they asked some interesting questions. They're clearly still very committed to this whole anti-terror thing, trying to make those baddies slip up at every hurdle. And I've got a few examples of the type of questions they ask, and I should point out, I haven't changed these at all. The first one, have you ever ordered, incited, committed, assisted, or otherwise participated in genocide? That's a real question, ladies and gentlemen. What do they think that people who did do those things are going to do when they're filling in the form? Have I ever committed genocide? Actually, now that you mention it, I suppose I have. Guess I better put a tick on the... Oh! You almost got me visa form, you sneaky bugger, you. You'd have to have some pretty warped morals to do these things and then not lie about it. Like, for example, another one says, have you ever engaged in the use or recruitment of child soldiers? Well, duh! Who do you think packed? People talk about the effectiveness of waterboarding, but maybe if you just chuck a form in front of them, they'll tick their way into prison. There's another one, it asked you if you plan on taking part in any terrorism whilst in the US. I don't know. I might do. Not that it's any of their business. It's a violation of my privacy, it is. Asking me if I plan on killing hundreds of innocent people. I tell you what, it's bloody Orwellian, is what it is. To the US Embassy, if you're in the audience, that was a joke. I do not want to blow up your lovely country. Please let me in. Go freedom! So, it was Valentine's Day recently, as I'm sure you've all heard. And I had a great time. Whilst you, insignificant others, were off gallivanting with your significant others, I went to a Lord of the Rings marathon. Frodo's before hoes, right? So, now that I think about it, I guess it's not that different from a lot of other people's Valentine's nights. I mean, it starts off quite pleasant and nice, and then it gets a little bit scary. Then you fall asleep for a few hours in the middle, and when you wake up, it seems to go on for ages and ages, and it feels like it's about to end at least 5 times before it's finally over. And then you forget about all the dull bits and assume it was the best night of your life. There are also both really inappropriate times to get out of the engagement room. The thing about those X-Men, right? They're always saying that we should be proud to be mutants. They think that the idea of a mutant cure is offensive. It's alright for them. It's alright for Wolverine, mister. Oh, I'm so sad because I live forever in the body of a sexy lumberjack. Well, Wolverine, that little X gene manifests in a number of different ways. My mate Sam, he's a mutant. He just has headaches all the time. Does he get to have the cure? Steph's knees fall out. It's a good party piece once, but she can never get them back in again. And what about Joe? He just has a ferret growing out of his arse. Well, Professor X, if they can't have the cure, are they welcome in your school for gifted youngsters, or is it just another Eton? Speaking about people fortuitously blessed with some magic powers, let's talk about the Pope. Is it just me, or does this new guy seem too good to be true? I mean, he's had his fair share of controversy, but for a Pope, he's doing pretty well. It's left me feeling all confused. I'm used to seeing popes dully propagate the same old-fashioned ideals, but this guy seems to be saying too many reasonable things. I think we need another figure. Someone to make me feel comfortably depressed again. What we need is an anti-pope, like they used to have in the olden days. Someone created a challenge to the current pope. He just turned up to bother the real pope while he's in meetings. Get a job, hippie! I spoke to Jesus. He says you're a dick. Hey, Pope, chess called. It wants its hat back! And then he can turn up to play little games like Pope Tennis and Pope Kart Double Dash. That would make me a lot more interested in converting Catholicism. If you're listening, I hope you're taking notes. The only real difference between the anti-pope and the pope is that the P on the anti-pope's hat is upside down. And he's always hanging around with his gangly purple brother, the Dalai Lama. Thank you, I've been Jim Hoster.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a special guest to CCC this week, Mr. Jonathan Abel.
Oh, no apple? That's fine. That's fine. So, my name is Jonathan Abel. I am here to give you a guest lecture in general studies. If you enjoy what I have to say, you can find my book, Cat on a Hot Tin Autocracy, at all good bookstores. At some good bookstores, one bookstore in Hull, under a table leg. First lesson, biology. This is actually my area of expertise, you see, because I used to be a botanist for the RAF. So, what is life's greatest unanswerable question? The one that has puzzled scientists and philosophers for thousands of years, and thousands of years to come. Of course, it is that eternal question. Who would win in a fight between a bear and a shark? Can I get some thoughts from you students? You, sir, who do you think?
Shark.
Can you say why?
Actually, I know where are they fighting?
Ah! Well, you've hit the nail on the head there, sir. Of course, the first thing we have to ask when pitting any animal against another is on what terrain will they two battle? Now, some of you may be familiar with the de Longman test, invented, of course, by Charles de Longman in the 17th century. For those of you who aren't, de Longman dedicated his life to answering such questions. Pitting rhinos against vultures, vultures against dodos, and dodos against geraniums. But he was unable to complete his lifelong goal after his life was cut tragically short following a battle with jaundice, and a bear, and a shark. But we still have his writings today, and we can but theorize. The de Longman test is a thought experiment in which the two titans do battle on three distinct arenas. The first, the ground, kingdom of the bear. The second, the sea, empire of the shark. And the third, nature's great leveler, the sky, where no animal is king. Then these two titans will be chained together and dropped from 50,000 feet, while we mere mortals gaze on. Truly, when mankind has achieved this, we will have reached our zenith. On to less important matters. Physics. You'll like this one. Why did the physicist hang himself from a spring? Because he was sinusoidal. Well, clearly some of you haven't been revising. If you had, you would have found that hilarious. And you'd pass your test. Let's just say there's going to be more than a few D's in this lecture theatre. No pun intended. Next lesson, English literature. What's your favourite kind of weather? Can you elaborate? And this weather, how does that make you feel? How does that affect your mood? Ladies and gentlemen, meet our new poet laureate. It's not your fault. You see, we academia have a name for that erudite observation of yours. Pathetic fallacy. It's when the weather reflects the mood of the scene. That's all it is. You don't have to be fucking Wordsworth to work out that when it's damp, people get annoyed. That's not how it works in the real world, people. If depression makes the sky grey, why has it been so fucking sunny around me lately? I mean, yay, Shakespeare! Art lesson. What I have here is a piece of genuine, 100% critically approved art. Now I need a volunteer from the audience to make it better. Anyone, please volunteer. You there, sir. I mean, boy. This shall be your brush. You may apply it anywhere upon this art. Remember, there are no wrong answers. No! What are you doing? This is art, man! Try again. Try again. This is a lecture theatre, not some sort of Philistine orgy. You have one more try, boy, to get this right. Sorry, I misread. Oh God. Linguistics! You know what I've been waiting years to say? Fuck C! And fuck X too! Stop them. There are 44 sounds in the English language and only 26 symbols to represent them. And these freeloaders think that they have the audacity to take up valuable alphabet space. We don't need you anymore, C. We have K now. Coccyx has 3 C's in it, for crying out loud. Stop trying to do S's job, C. Don't even get me started on W. The names are now right lie. That's clearly 2 V's stuck together. If you'd like to know more about my linguistic hypothesis, you can buy my book, Phonological Beauty Queen. Please buy my book. Oh God. What else are you lot learning? Environmental studies? We're all fucked. History. Oh God, what happened in the past? I think the most important period to be aware of is the one between 2008 and 2015. Yeah, a pretty important, memorable bit of history. A few wars, a few revolutions. On the 17th of August 2011, my publishing deal failed to go through. People often ask what the most important horse in all of history is. Some say Paul Revere, some say Troy. Nah, it was Rum Tickety, the horse I bet my second mortgage on. Film studies. You know that bit in The Godfather with the horse's head? Yep, good bit. I wasn't always a lecturer, you know? I used to be a lumberjack cage fighter, like my dad. Making the family proud. I never could live up to him though. Didn't have the beard. So I let him down. I took a dive. And then, after that, what was there left for me to do except take my transferable skills and teach to a degree level at a prestigious British university? I'm so content. Chemistry. What is the chemical composition of a man? 6 parts water, 3 parts calcium, and 1 part sad. So, that concludes the lecture, and I expect you all to have done your coursework. Remember, it's due in, I don't know when it's due in, but you should probably do it. I expect your coursework on why I love my lecturer to be of the finest quality. And don't forget to use Harvard referencing. I did, and look where I ended up. Thank you, I've been Jonathan Abel.
Welcome to the stage. The next act is Jim Hoxton. Woo!
It's not going to be spooky unless you find the process of aging terrifying. And I feel that Ed was supposed to say that this is a one-man, 3-character comedy play. I must have blanked it. Anyway.
Hello, my name is Josh. I'm 105 years old and I was born in the year 1995.
Hello, my name is Matt. I'm 100 years old. I was 100 years old and I was born in the year 2000.
Hey, my name is Mandrex. I'm 63 years old and I was born in the year 2037. I think my strongest childhood memory comes from about 2008. I We were sitting at home, and then me ma comes in from home, from work at the farm, and she has this terrified look on her face, and I says to her, "What's wrong, Ma?" She says, "I'm sorry, Josh. It's old Bessie. She's collapsed." Old Bessie was my family's name for the stock market. It was a troubling time, the credit crunch. We couldn't afford to keep Little Scrunty, so we had to have him terminated. Little Scrunty was my nickname for our Sky subscription. My home never quite felt the same without the sound of him yapping away, providing sports, entertainment and biased news coverage at an affordable price. Well, it was a scary time growing up at the turn of the 21st century. It was all terrorism, that, global warming, this. Of course, the most terrifying moment was when Al-Qaeda teamed up with the sun. Our worst fears had come to light. It was all okay in the end, though, because when the Green Party came into power, they strapped tasers to all the windmills. And now global warming and terrorism are dead forever. It's funny to think that I'm one of the few people still alive who can remember that. I suppose I'm a bit of a relic of a bygone age, like iPods and capitalism. My strongest childhood memory comes from the time of the Great Peak Apocalypse. We should have seen it coming. Gene kits were a dime a dozen. Anyone and his mum could make a new species in their garage. It didn't take long before they made all 151 of the original Pokemon. So many people made Pikachus. And then they escaped, and they bred, and they ravaged the countryside. Something had to be done. And so the government called for a nationwide cull. Any Pikachu was to be killed on sight. I was 8 years old when it happened, 2045. I was playing in the garden when I heard this cry. I went down to the fence and I saw it there, covered in blood, stuck on half the fence. I went to tell my dad, but I knew what he would do. I said to him, "Don't do it, Dad, please. Not this one, just let this one go." You can't blame him for the actions of his entire species. In fact, Dad, is it not the fault of us as human beings and our greed and our hubris that he is here at all? I'd never stood up to my father before that point, and I never did again. And even if he didn't for one moment consider what I had to say, I would do it again in an instant. And so he ignored my protestations, and he put on his rubber gloves and picked up his weighted plastic killing shovel. He marched to the bottom of the garden, dragging me behind him. He raised the shovel above his head, and then he brought it down again, 3 times. Whack, whack, whack. It was brutally efficient, and I think those are the 2 words I would most use to describe my father. I remember the time the government brought in a new letter. It was a revolution in linguistics. They call it the dingwah. I was middle-aged at the time, see, and I remember having to explain it to my kids. The hardest bit was teaching them how to pronounce it. I would spell it to them phonetically, you know, so I'd write it down on a piece of paper, D-I, dingwah, Q, dingwah again, F. And I'd sing a little song, you know, we all know it, the one that goes, A, B, C, D, dingwah, E, F, G, I, double dingwah, J and K. Of course, after they brought the double dingwah in, they didn't need the other half of the alphabet. Made things a lot simpler. Easy as A, B, dingwah, I'll grant you that. I think the one song that I've always loved, ever since I was a boy, is, well, I'm sure you all know it, it's the one that goes, hey now you're an all-star, get your game on, go play.
Yes, yes, I know it might seem trite to say that our national anthem is my favourite song. But god damn it, I love it anyway. You see, the lyrics really spoke to me. I think they were really quite prophetic for the rest of my life. You see, well, the years did start coming and, well, they definitely didn't stop coming. Apart from that one year where they did. Yes, I think I should like it played at my funeral. I can't quite imagine a more appropriate way to drift off into the abyss than to the dulcet tones of Ian Smashmouth and his friends. I suppose the song's really rather archaic now. What with the line, she was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb and the shape of an L on her forehead. No one uses L anymore. Too many right angles. I suppose a more appropriate line would be the shape of a dingwat on her forehead. All the best swear words start with dingwat. You know the ones.
Do I remember the Beatles? Of course I do. We were at war with them for 20 years. Of course, I hated them at first, just like everyone else, but after the war ended, we started to take in an influx of Beatles refugees. I realised that they were perhaps more human than any of us. And I tell you, right now, I would much sooner shake the hand or mandible of a Beatle than of any one of those bastards in Space Parliament. Regardless of which of our organs the Beatles may or may not have laid their eggs in.
I remember the time the Loch Ness Monster came out as gay. The media had a field day. Though admittedly that was more because he'd come out at all. The gay thing was really more of an aside. It's hardly a surprise. I mean, I don't suppose there are many lady Nessies in that loch, and when one spends all day looking at one's own reflection in the water, there isn't much one can use to draw inspiration from when one does the monster mash. Before I go, I'd just like to remember one thing. I remember the day they first put a moon on the man. And you remember what it was he said? He said, "This is one small step for mankind, and one giant moon on that man." Thank you, I've been Jim Host.
My opening gambit with it was to stare into the middle distance for 3 seconds and say, "So I'm socially inept." But given the uncomfortableness of a person calling out Trump supporter, love you very much, but I feel like I can't compete. But I am very socially awkward. Case in point, the other day I got on the bus, a 2A. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that bus. Good bus. I didn't want, as good as the 2A is, I didn't want the 2A, I wanted the 3. So I got on the 2A, and I asked the bus driver when the 3 was coming along. He said, "In a few minutes." At which point, all I had to do was get off the bus, maybe say farewell. Instead, I said 3 things. I said, "Sorry," "Thank you," "Goodbye." I didn't need to say all 3 of those things. They functionally mean the same thing in that situation. It could have been worse. I could have gone, "Sorry, thank you, goodbye. Would you like to get a drink next week? Will you marry me?" "I do. I'm pregnant. What shall we name him? I can't believe he's graduating already. My side hurts. I'm dying. 3 weeks left. I love you. Goodbye." Awkward. Say goodbye twice. And also, I want to say, if I am ever going to have kids, I'm naming them something cool like Zalgon. And my potential future bus driver husband is going to have to come to terms with that pretty early on in the relationship. Another awkward thing I do, you know, I'm sure a lot of you know when you're crossing a zebra crossing and you hold up your hand to thank the driver for stopping you. Stop doing that. I do it, but we got to stop because they are legally required to stop. If they did not stop, they would be committing a crime.
How ridiculous would it be if we went around all the time thanking people for not committing crimes? Ah, hello fellow pedestrian, I'm really glad you're not mugging me, I truly appreciate it. Ah, just come out of the cubicle, have you, sir? I'm really glad you did your shit in there instead of on me. You, sir, are truly a saint. Ah, doctor, looking at my confidential medical records, are you? Glad to see you not calling me a specky, colourblind git, because that would in fact be a hate crime. On that note, yes, I am colourblind, but I do know that this jumper is blue. I'm not that bad. See, colourblindness, it's technically a disability, but I don't think I'm going to get colourblind. Well, obviously I've got colour vision. It's technically a disability, but I don't think I'm going to get free parking anytime soon. Unless I guess I use the excuse that I mistook the pavement for a giant yellow line. See, I don't even have proper colour blindness. It's just that for me, I have to stop for a bit and work out whether something is dark blue or purple. If your disability is that colours give you pause for thought, it seems a little rich to call it a disability in the first place. 10% of all men are colourblind. 10% of men prefer Pepsi to Coca-Cola, but I wouldn't stand up and give them my seat on public transport. The other day, I saw a video of a man with proper colour blindness. You know, doggo vision. This man saw the world The man in this video, he saw the world in black and white, and I don't just mean he was naive as to the true nature of moral responsibility. He puts on these tinted glasses, and he sees the world in full colour for the first time ever. And you know what happens? He breaks down into tears at the beauty of it. I think if I did that, and I could do, but it's not worth 250 quid if I'm going to be honest, if I got those glasses, purples would just look purpley. Just like they do for all of you normal people. And if I still can't tell what colour a dress is, then what's the bloody point of being able to see colour at all? And yes, I know that was 3 years ago, but people are still talking about these things. The only time my colour blindness ever even comes up is when I'm playing board games. And yes, I am cool, thanks for asking. If I had been born 500 years ago, never would have even noticed. I'd still be surrounded by the brown of whatever mud and or shit-stained hovel I was living in that day. I just wouldn't be able to tell whether the shit was mahogany brown, russet brown, or cappuccino. Although, that said, if I were around 50,000 years ago, I would have died from a bad berry. So, swings and roundabouts. I was in a bar the other day, and awkward as I am, I saw an acquaintance of mine. Not a friend, but an acquaintance. One of those people who you think you know the name, but you would have to open Facebook before you said hello. I knew him from philosophy seminars, because that's what I do. We probably talked about, I don't know, whether a table can feel joy. We answer all the big questions in philosophy. And so I saw this guy in the bar, and I did my usual tactic when I see someone who I'm not quite comfortable saying the name of, is that I lock eyes and I smile. The problem is I have this thing called facial dissonance. It's not real. I've just made it up. It sounds good. What this means is that sometimes I find it a little difficult to tell whether I'm smiling or not. So if you look at so I'm always either undercompensating or overcompensating. So if you look at a family photo of me, it either looks like Mum and Dad donated all the Christmas presents to the Donkey Sanctuary and we're having dinner at the Pencil Museum. Or it looks like a picture of a psychopath moments before they did the murder! So there I am in the bar doing one of these faces, and I lock eyes and I smile. But clearly the guy fancies a bit more of an encounter. Maybe it wasn't much of an acquaintance as I thought. And so he says to me, "All right, mate." At which point, obviously, I have to respond, but like an idiot, he calls out to me, and what happens is this: "All right, mate. All right, mate. All right, mate." So I did respond. But the moment he stopped talking, I looked away. It was like I was caught, it's like I was willfully ignoring him, but I wanted him to know about it. I called his attention to the fact that I couldn't look him in the eyes. I managed to turn a simple, "How are you do?" into the biggest F you can imagine. That's hyperbole, of course. I could have bottled him. Before I go, I'll leave you with one more story to convince you that if you see me on the spine, avoid eye contact. Give me a cheer if you remember Darrelly Dunkers. Good. I like to check now and then that I haven't slipped into an alternate reality in which Darrelly Dunkers are cooled.
dipping sticks. In the alternate reality where Dairy Dunkers are called dipping sticks, never really caught on. Must be an image problem. For those of you who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, Dairy Dunkers are a very basic British snack. It's cheese dip and it's breadsticks in the same package. Lunchbox food, traditional, great. Traditionally, not for grown-ups. But I say, screw that. If I want to get my dip and my breadsticks pre-packaged together, and I do, then I'm prepared to pay a premium for it. Okay, now that you've all got the necessary background information, I'll continue with my story. I am on a bus. Not now, this was the past. I was on a bus. And it was time for lunch, and I had a seminar to go to. So I reached in my bag for my lunch. My lunch was a Dairy Dunker. Stop right there. How do you eat? The primary motion for eating a Dairy Dunker is this, for those of you who've never seen one before. Delicious! How do you respectably eat, on a bus, something that could reasonably have been sold under the name cheese shovels? Surprisingly enough, in the alternate reality where they are called cheese shovels, they sell very well. You never know. As I was eating them, I could feel the eyes of the passengers around me. People who had no idea what these things were thinking, what is that guy doing? People who did know what they were thinking, is that guy eating Dairy Dunkers? Aren't those for 8-year-olds? Is that guy 8 years old? He looks way too handsome to be an 8-year-old. Why am I thinking about how handsome 8-year-olds are? Well, I want a Dairy Dunker. Because I just have that effect on people. Most of you are probably thinking that right now. Nevertheless, I feel that I ignore the haters and continue with my lunch. And I'm nearly at the end when a large, burly man sits next to me, his girth pushing me against the side of the bus, by which I mean his large shoulders. And by this point, I've finished the breadsticks, but as anyone who's ever had a Dairy Dunker will know, Dairy Dunkers don't end with the breadsticks. I made that a slogan. Because you always have a little bit of dip left at the end, right? And so, naturally, the sticks are gone, so the finger comes out. So we all do this, yeah, I do. All these nods of resignation, we're all friends here. You get the dip out, you put it in your mouth, and you go, So I was midway through that process when this burly man looks at me. He doesn't say anything, he just stares at me. And there I am, with my finger in the air, like I'm testing the direction of the wind. What was I supposed to do? I couldn't get rid of it any other way. I couldn't. Hold one moment. This is not a cheese finger. This is a finger to demonstrate that I got on the wrong line. I'm going to go back. Forget that thing I just said. He knew what I was going to do. Hence the finger. He knew what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to do, and I'm pretty sure all of you knew what I was going to do. I was going to suck dick. I was all ready to suck a dip. Was this man planning to watch me suck dip? I've got to be honest, it's really more of a private thing, isn't it? At least for me. Part of me wondered what I was meant to do. I couldn't just eat, I could have just eaten it, but there was no other way to get rid of it. I couldn't just wipe my dip off on the bus chair. I definitely couldn't wipe my dip off on my jeans. I had a seminar to go to. I couldn't walk around all day with dip cheese on my trousers. I almost thought he was going to ask if he could suckle me. Like I was suckling a baby lamb, except the milk had gone off and turned to cheese. But no, I was having none of it. I wasn't about to let this large man suck my dip on public transport. I paid good money to suck my own dip. And you know what? I've been sucking my own dip since I was 8 years old. Long story short, I ate the cheese, and the man said nothing. Though he did then proceed to get out his own lunch, which was a burrito, which he ate from the middle outwards, like a fucking animal. And I thought I was a food barbarian. I've been Jim Huckster. Sorry. Thank you. Goodbye.
I want to say it the way that I said it the first time. Please welcome me and joining legendary crooner Chucky Valentine, everybody.
Turn it up, Terry.
Tone it up, Terry.
Working on it, I'm working on it.
Terry Almost, everybody. You know, I call him Almost a Man, you know, because he's short. Me and Terry, we go way back. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I was having dinner with Terry and his wife. Lovely woman. You know what? They're trying for a baby. Terry, I'm sure that you're almost... Oh, you're not? Oh, the test kit. No, you're right. I shouldn't have brought this up on stage. Terry Almost, everybody. Hello, Lancaster. I assume you guys know me, but just in case there's anyone in the crowd who doesn't know who I am, perhaps it would jog your memory if I named a little song called Love Me Up, Love Me Down, Love My Body Right Around the Town, or perhaps a little duet I did with the one and only Frank Sinatra, You've Got a Platonic Friend in Me. That's right, it's me, Chucky Valentine, and I'm here for my farewell tour. I haven't been to England since the 80s, and a lot's changed. I was down in London the other day. I was checking out the buildings you've got there. Big Ben, I've seen bigger. I saw what you guys call skyscrapers, or as we call what you guys have in the US, ground loungers. I saw the London Eye. Isn't it really more of a London O? And, the gherkin? What is a gherkin? It's like... What? I saw this thing called the gherkin. What is a gherkin? It's like a pickle, right? Why have you got to change the name for everything? You call gherkins, pickles, sidewalks, pavements, Jesus Christ, Princess Diana. Another thing I was surprised to see, Greggs. Yeah, the East India Company of the pasty world. Last time I was here, Greggs was just what I called my two bodyguards. Only one of them was called Greggs, but I forgot the other's name. I thought I'd check him up when I got back to England. Turns out they're both dead. You win some, you lose some. Okay, I know why you're here to see me. I'm going to go on to my first song of the evening. And this song, it's a classic of mine. My fans, they like to call this an alternative love song, but I say, there ain't nothing alternative about love, baby. Love for everyone. Boy or girl, cat or dog, man and or machine. So, this song, it's a classic. It's a song for anybody who's trying to say special something to that special someone in their life. And my advice to you, kiddo, life's a teat. You just gotta reach out and suck it. Okay, Terry, take it away with the first song. I swear, Terry. Terry Almost, everyone! He's as senile as I am. What's happening, Terry?
The band's not working.
What's happened, Terry?
The band isn't playing.
Oh no. Well, this is embarrassing. So I'll say what I was going to say later now, and then when Terry's found all the trombonists, or tromboneers, I don't know what they're called, I just sing. I'll get back to it. So what I was going to say after this is that I've met many musical legends, but the one who's left the biggest impression on me, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan once said to me, have you checked if it's if the volume's on the tablet trumpet there? Let's pretend it's a musical instrument. So Bob Dylan, he said to me, Jackie, I'll do the voice. Jackie, musicians have got power. They're the only people in the world who can rival politicians and big business. I'm going to stop doing the voice before I kill my voice. Musicians have got power, and they got a duty. We'll get back to that, Terry. Musicians have got a power, and they got a duty to use that power to fight the system. You see, Chucky, this is still Bob talking. See, you would have known if I could have carried on the voice. You see, Chucky, any man can write a song about love, but it takes a special kind of man to write a song about nuclear bombs or the plight of the tiny tambourine people.
And what Bob Dylan said to me really stuck with me. See, at the time, I was really struggling to make ends meet. I could barely afford my third home. And property tax wasn't making it any easier. And so... and property tax wasn't making it any easier.
Let's try this out. Let's see if I'm play that.
Well, no, I don't want the band yet, because I'm in the middle of an anecdote about my friend, Bob Dylan.
Fine then, get on with it.
I know it's been 30 years, Terry, but trombones basically work the same.
You should have brought me back.
No, now I'm thinking that. And you know, when I said that the food your wife cooked was terrible, was great, it was only okay.
Oh, I swear, after we've done this.
And I don't want to be the godfather anymore. Where was I? So, I wrote a song about property tax, because I wanted to make a change in the world. And unfortunately, this song was widely panned. Now, the critics said it was because of my decision to hire Gary Glitter to sing the chorus. Now, I'll admit, unfortunate timing on that creative decision there. Oh, you didn't know we had him in the States? No, we don't. I thought I could make it big. Terrible decision. But, no, I think that glitter aside, the reason my song didn't do anything was because big property had their fingers in all the right pies. Mostly music magazines. And so they didn't want my message to get out. But you know what? I stand by what I said. I'm sure if Bob Dylan were alive today, he'd be proud of me. In fact, every word of what I said in that song, I still believe today. Except for the bit where I said, I love you, Gary, we'll always be friends. Because as I have said to numerous courts, I retract that statement. Okay, we're going to try our first song of the evening now. You can do.
The band want to play now.
Ah, they're hiding in a box. There we go. You know I stand in line until you think it is the time to scan my items for me. There's a swish and there's a beep. I think of you in my sleep, some kind of mad fantasy. And afterwards I dip into my leopard print coin purse and find a note or two. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like, can I use my next card? I can see it in your eyes that I've bought too many pies, you know they're all for me. I know it looks like junk to you, to me it's food, stop judging me for being me. I shop here every day and try to prove that I'm not gay, but then I do look the type. And then I think I'll wait until I get outside the shop, but I can hide in the bins. The time is right, I bought a rose, the doors are closed, and then I see you leave the store. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like, get in the van. So this guy Bob Dylan, I've done that bit. I'll get on to my last point of the evening. Sorry to get political for a moment, folks, but this whole Brexit thing you've got going on, yeah, you've heard enough about it. I just wanted to say, you could have just told us you wanted to be left alone. When we tried to leave you, we had to go to war. People died, Britain. You could have just said all we had to do was win a vote by a slim majority. Would have been real easy to do back in the 1700s as well, because blacks and women didn't have the vote. Would have taken like 5 minutes. Okay. We've had fun. But I'm going to go on to my second and final song. Yeah, I know. They didn't book me for very long. I'm very expensive. This is a new song I've been working on. I'd be happy to treat you all to see what I've been working on.
I've been thinking, now in my 70s, I am about ready to settle down. I'm feeling broody, I'm retiring, and I think I'm ready to have kids. Actually, no, just the one kid, I think. That'll be enough for me. So this song, I've written it about that experience. Okay, Terry, you ready to do this one last time?
I think so.
Soon you'll be free. Is it getting me quieter? Wait, now louder. I want a baby, and it's quite alright. I want that baby to be male and white. I want a baby. It's okay if he's gay. I really don't mind. Oh yeah, this baby, he is gonna be rich. Oh, this baby. King of the football pitch, where can I buy a baby? Can I make one? I have a strong family name. I am genetically sane. I really don't drink that much, and I can mostly speak Dutch. I would hold him if he cried. Him inside. Keep him safe inside my womb, 'cause that's what good dads do. Roses for everybody! Mind the thorns, they're dead! Oh yeah, this baby's gonna be rich. Oh no, Terry, you've got me. I forgot what I was gonna say. I will find that baby, make him brilliant. I want a baby, I will tuck him in at night. I want a baby, I will clean up his shite. Can I find a baby? Can I make one? Oh, that is the end of the song. Thank you, Lancaster University.
Joke, perhaps the oldest of jokes. It's not mine, but if it were, I'd probably be asking for royalties. Why did the chicken cross the road? The answer, of course, to get to the other side. I assume you're all familiar, given you're not in hails of laughter. So I've been thinking about this joke, and I think maybe the thing about this joke is maybe we don't get this joke. For example, you talked, what was your name? I don't think you said Christina. You seemed friendly in the first one. Do you understand this joke? Have you ever thought about this joke?
Like the other side and like everyone else.
Yeah, well, normally when I ask people this, they've never thought about it. You're a step ahead, the average. So wait, hold that jaw drop, Eddie. So when I originally thought about this joke, at like age 20, after having heard it many, many years ago, I thought to myself, it suddenly dawned on me, hang on a minute, that's not a joke. That is why you cross the road, to get to the other side. So I thought, it's an anti-joke, isn't it? It's a sort of deconstruction of the very essence of what a joke is. It's brilliant. I had no standards as a 20-year-old. But then I started to think about it a little more. And I was probably couldn't sleep or something, I don't know what I was doing. And I thought to myself, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. How could you have an anti-joke before you had jokes? Because as I said, it's one of the oldest jokes in the world. You can't counter something before it exists. No one thought of doing post-punk before we had punk. Or post-office before office. Post-office, incidentally, is the period Ricky Gervais has been stuck in for 15 years. Making anti-jokes before jokes would be like making Diet Coke before regular Coke. And if we did that, we'd have to call regular Coke Fat Coke. Or, as anyone who pays attention to what they actually put in Coca-Cola will know, just as bad for you, but in a different way, Coke. But cancer, Coke and heart attack don't sell. Cancer, coke, and heart attack. Don't say. Though I'd appreciate their honesty. No, as you've already mentioned, Christina, there is a deeper meaning to this joke, so prepare to have your minds blown. What would happen to a chicken that crossed the road, assuming it was a busy road? Roads aren't invented for chickens, chickens aren't invented for roads. That chicken, he's going to die. Guts strewn across the road. When that chicken, and where the people, and assuming presumably chickens, go when they die? Heaven. Purgatory. Ragnarok if it's a Viking chicken. I like to think it was. Also another name for heaven, the other side. You already knew this because you're a step above the rest. When the chicken died and went to the other side, aka heaven. So it wasn't an anti-joke at all, it was just a lame pun. So if any of you have ever been going to dinner parties and anyone was asked you if you had any jokes and you're like, I think I've got one for you, thinking you've got some kind of wry deconstruction of the joke form as a whole, it was just a lame pun. Sorry. But there's actually a little more to it than this. Because when you start to think about it, it gets even more morbid, because when you say that the chicken crossed the road to get to the other side, that implies intent. That chicken wanted to get to the other side. In other words, that chicken wanted to die. That chicken was a suicidal chicken. We tell this joke to children. That's not the message we should be spreading to children. Chickens don't, their own free will, just walk in the front of an SUV. No, they get killed by us. In their millions, brutally, just like nature intended. I've actually been researching this joke. I found a BuzzFeed article about it. You're probably all familiar with BuzzFeed, modern news website, clickbaity. All the kids use it. They have a lot of these articles. You probably see stuff like this one weird thing will change the way you watch Shrek. It turns out donkey represents Stalin or something like that. Or this changes Star Wars forever because there was a little hidden panel which said Darth Vader's a knob. Though that wouldn't really change Star Wars because I don't think they ever hid the fact that Darth Vader was a knob. But they have one of these for this old chicken joke, right? And the title of the article is "The Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road" joke is actually super dark, which to their credit it is. But the weirdest thing about this is that it has a subtitle, and the subtitle simply reads 3 words: "This changes everything." Like it's a summer blockbuster. Just when you thought it was safe to go back on the M6, you'll believe a hen can die. On a dual carriageway, no one can hear you. That's the sound chickens make from the city. The other thing that's weird is that this article is in the health section of BuzzFeed, of all the places. I half expected them to have a number for the Samaritans of the month, in case you or your chicken has been affected by any of the issues raised. So I continued my quest to learn more about this fabled joke, and I inevitably ended up on Wikipedia, we all do, on the page for "Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road?" Clearly a brilliant use of all those millions and millions of donations they've been taking. The weirdest thing about this page is that they have 2 photographs, both of chickens crossing the road. As if that was the bit of the joke nobody understood. As if people are Googling this joke just to get that. As if I picture a guy coming onto this page, looking at this picture and smacking his head. Oh, that's what it is! Well, now I just didn't understand the concept of chicken or road. And if that's not enough, there's another picture to reinforce the point. The actual joke is from 1847, and it's, in a true Victorian fashion, it's really long-winded, so I can't remember it off by heart. It's from an American magazine called The Knickerbocker, and apparently this was the height of comedy in the 1800s. So, and as I say, it's long-winded, so bear with me. There are quips and quillets. I don't know what a quillet is. I assume much like a quip. There are quips and quillets which seem actual conundrums, but yet are none. Of such is this. Why does a chicken cross the street? See, they say street instead of road. Interesting evolution. Are you out of town? Do you give it up? Well then, because it wants to get on the other side. Oh, we do have fun, don't we? Oh, imagine being in a comedy club the night that guy went. I don't appreciate that level of smug condescendence from a magazine that names itself after pants. 43 years later, there were already retaliations of a sort to this joke. 43 years, someone thought, those guys at the Knickerbocker, they got to be taken down a peg. They got their Pulitzer for that joke. I got something I can say. So someone, 43 years later, not quite as long-winded, but still longer than more obtuse than it needs to be, came back with this gem. Why should not a chicken cross the road? They don't say it. They say should not. They say it like that. Because it would be a foul proceeding. And it's all downhill from there. It's all mostly puns. I'm sure some of you guys are aware of the many alterations. You've probably heard them as kids. Why did the duck cross the road? To prove he wasn't a chicken. Why did the dinosaur cross the road? Because chickens hadn't been invented yet. Why did the chicken cross the playground to get to the other side? Slide. It's okay, I didn't write that one. None of those are mine, so you don't have to laugh. And I found, the last thing I found in my endless search was a list of the top 10 chicken crossing the road jokes of all time. Can you believe they narrowed it down to just 10? The funniest thing on this list, though, and I found funny things on a lot of web pages and much. The funniest thing on this list is that number 1 is the original joke. As if after all this time, after so much searching, just can't beat the original. The original is still the best. Just like Christine, what's your favourite film series? My favourite series of films?
Bridget Jones.
I assume the first one is the best. Is that right? I don't hear them talk about just like Bridget Jones or Pirates of the Caribbean, on which I'm sure we can all agree. Only God loves. But that said, I'm not sure the tastes of me and the person who wrote this list align, because the second joke has the punchline, to cock-a-doodle do something. So I'm not sure we're on the same page. That guy probably likes Pirates of the Caribbean 3. After much speculation, I think I can say conclusively why the chicken crossed the road. So, strap yourselves in. It was a tragic day for Mr. and Mrs. Chicken. They awoke from their bed to find that the power had gone out a little after midnight. So they went into the utility room and they found that the incubator had been off for over 8 hours. All the eggs were stone cold. Their children, little more than flat pack omelets now. The relationship didn't last. Mrs. Chicken had hoped that children could cement what they used to have, but it wasn't to be. Mr. Chicken tried dating again. He dated a swan for a while, but he just wasn't into big birds. So he wandered the earth in despair, till he came and stood next to a pelican crossing, at a pelican crossing. And he wondered to himself why the other bird didn't just fly over the road. But he didn't have long to wonder about that, because he started to think about his place in the universe. He wondered about pressing the button to make the light turn green, but he also wondered about just putting a clawed foot out in front of the road, walking out, throwing caution to the wind, because he started to think about how big the whole universe was, about the babies he never met, whether they existed at all. He started to wonder whether he existed. He may as well not. The universe was huge and he was but a small chicken. There were infinite chickens out there, or roosters, as if you want me to be anatomically correct, as chickens are only female in this. I established this was a Mr. Chicken. And so he thought to himself, what's the point? And he walked out to the path of an 18-wheeler. So the answer, ladies and gentlemen, as to why did the chicken cross the road, isn't it obvious? Because he had an existential crisis. Thank you, I've been Hudson. Join me next week when I'll be asking just how many socialists does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm going to kick this off with a big announcement, and I'll get it out of the way. I recently proposed to my girlfriend. Don't cheer yet. I haven't told you if she said yes. She said yes! The most on-side I have ever had an audience in my first 15 seconds. Funny word, proposal. I think it kind of makes it sound like it's maybe no big deal. It's just a thing, maybe one of many options. Like, here's a proposal. How about you and I head down to the pub, get a pint or two, then maybe go for shots at the club? Nah? Oh, no, we can do something else. Pizza? How about you and I? Now, hear me out. I propose you and I commit ourselves to each other for life in front of all our friends and family, and we'll get a legal representative to make sure it's real. Also, and here's the kicker, we put a mountain of paperwork in the way of us ever coming out of it. No? Oh, no, that's okay too. Well, we're still on for pizza, right?
We've had a lot of reactions to telling people about this. We've had squeals of delight, we've had a few manly handshakes. One of my friends went, "Flipping heck!" It's good. But my favourite of all the reactions to being told about the proposal was, "Oh, that was from my dad." That sounds like a joke, but it's not. You see, my mum and my dad aren't married. That's right, I'm a sin baby. But I don't mind being a right bastard. All the cool people are these days. I've seen Game of Thrones. I might be a student now, but in a year you could be looking at Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Now, I don't mean to say that our union was fated, but a prophet did foretell it at the start of university. Now, most of you will have had a Freshers' Week at Lancaster University, and I gather this is a thing that happens every year. Cast your eyes back to an assembly most of you will have had in your Freshers' Week. A bold, energetic Australian man comes on stage. You remember this guy? I don't know his name. I'll call him Bruce. This guy comes on stage and he says things like, "Oh, mate, university's great. You're going to drink so much, but don't drink too much. And maybe you'll do some drugs, but don't do too many. And oh, you're going to have to work. Work sucks, but it's important." He says that kind of thing, motivational stuff. But one of the things he said while I was sat next to my then friend, and then girlfriend, and then fiance, and if things work out, then wife, he said, "So some of you are going to be friends for life, right? Now turn to the person next to you. Some of you will end up marrying each other. How weird is that?" Pretty weird. Thanks for making that day very awkward, Bruce. But he was right. And I could do with that wise Aussie prophet now more than ever. You see, we've been looking at houses, and the housing market is very difficult to predict. If he could tell us when to buy a one-bedroom house, that would be handy. Now, as I say, the man was right, and not long after that, I made my move. I asked her out. And I did so through the medium of a love letter. See, this is what people say, and I tell them. They say it's adorable or romantic, but to be honest, I just did it because I was scared shitless. I couldn't stand the thought of seeing the look of rejection. I prefer an email of rejection. So I can file it in my folder marked disappointment. Also, I've had a look back at this letter, because of course we still have it, and it doesn't paint me in the best light. I've changed since the start of uni in some ways. It did say, words to the effect of, and this is only half a joke, it did say, I should have said that afterwards, it has said, words to the effect of, "I imagine my perfect partner would be a female clone of myself. But you like Pokemon, so that's a good start." That's only half a joke. That's what I meant to say now. Still, I'd take the awkward love letter over online dating any day. This is a world I've only looked at from afar, and I don't understand Tinder. See, the thing about Tinder was created as a hookup app for people who wanted to sleep with each other, to have one-night stands. Sure, that's why the primary thing you judge people on is their appearance, and why the things you list underneath are your hobbies, your sexual preferences, and what STDs you have. You know, because people like to collect them all. But then Tinder moved into a new audience. People looking not just for sex, but probably that too, but for love. Looking for romantic partners for life. I don't know why they chose Tinder, presumably because it's free and convenient. And if you're looking for love, you want two things. You don't want it to break the bank, and you want to be able to do it on the loo. Problem is, I don't think. How can a dating service accommodate these kinds of people, both of these kinds of people? People looking for a shag, and people looking for a family and a loving future for sort of 20 to 60 years. What's the first date going to be like when those two meet? So, what are you into? Oh, you know, I like a guy who likes long walks on the beach, sense of humour. Oh, he's got to be able to get on with my mum and dad. Oh, and most of all, if I wake up in the middle of the night because I had a bad dream, he's got to be okay with me waking him up too. What about you? I was thinking you could just squeeze my ass and we'd go from there. I'll say this for online dating. It makes the process of dating much easier. It was something that terrified me at secondary school, though much like ghosts, romance was scary but didn't exist, at least for me. But I sure wished it did. For me, falling in love was essentially a weekly event. If a girl asked me to pass her the felt tips, I'd already be picturing us investing in a sandwich toaster together. If a girl accepted my Facebook friend request, I was already thinking of the degrees I'd be disappointed to see our future son-in-law study. And, oh, this is a big one. If a girl didn't make fun of my clothes on non-uniform day, you can bet that I'd see myself at the age of 90 in a rare moment of clarity against my constantly foggy mind, picturing her as the girl I fell in love with all those years ago. Oh wait, she just said Pokemon is for babies. Never mind. Who's next? My timetable looks something like this. 9 o'clock, PE. 9:50, fall in love watching a netball match. 10 o'clock, ICT. 10:30, fall in love with a girl who already knew how to alphabetize bullet points. 12 o'clock, lunch. Fall in love with a girl who ordered the same topping on a jack of potato as me. 1 o'clock, English. Get strangely turned on by the way that girl delivered Lenny's voice when reading aloud. Oh. She could tell me about the rabbits all day long. I remember the first time I felt a tingle down there. And I don't mean in my heart. It was in a science lesson. And this annoys me. Because some people have these exciting, dramatic sexual awakenings. I imagine. It wasn't while seeing Beyonce in concert, or Lara Croft, or the fish with lips from Shark Tale. And it wasn't Amy the Hedgehog from Sonic, or Rouge the Bat from Sonic, or Blaze the Cat from Sonic, or Carl the Echidna from Sonic, or Knuckles the Echidna from Sonic, or Eggman from Sonic, or Sonic from Sonic. Neither was it Mario from Sonic. No, it was in a lesson on reproduction, and not the sexy bits. For there are some sexy bits to reproduction, they're just all bookended at the beginning. We were learning about the bit where the sperm reaches the egg, very much the key part to reproduction. And that's when it happened, which is annoying, because sperm and eggs aren't sexy. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but that's what I think. Imagine the phone sex. You don't have to, because I'm going to simulate it right now. Don't worry, there won't be any masturbating. Not from me, anyway. Oh, what are you doing right now? Oh, baby. Sorry, poor choice of words. Oh, lovely. I'm sending thousands of my little white, millions in fact, of my little white gametes up your vaginal canal. Thousands collide with the side, killed in a moment. A lucky few hundred reach the atrium, where waits their prize, the egg. Apparently, a perfect knobbly sphere. A few of the lucky brothers get to burrow, but only one can make it all the way. They burrow, and then... Doesn't do it for me, if I'm honest. If anything, that would turn me off. But listen, see, it annoys me that this was when puberty decided to hit, I think. When I found out all the nitty-gritty, it's as if my body was saying to me, right, there's what you need to know. Get out there and do it, fucko! So, I did, but not for a socially appropriate but also cool number of years. Thank you. Thank you. I've been Jim Huxley. Hello. Now I've been thinking that university is kind of like a Disney movie. You don't have to accept that, but just for this bit, let's pretend it is. Because my whole set revolves around it. Hear me out. So, towards the end of the 80s, Disney changed tactic with what they wanted from their hero. Things went from search for true love to the search for identity. Heroes wanted to know who they were. They wanted to
find themselves, that kind of thing. That's why Mulan wanted her reflection to show her who she truly was inside. Hercules wanted to find the place that truly belonged, and Jim from Treasure Planet wanted to... Okay, I don't really know what he wanted, but he did want to fly a pirate ship in space, so I can get on board with that. And that's kind of what university is like, minus the pirate ship. It's just one big mission to assert your identity and your individuality upon everyone else. And it's a great adventure, and you meet a lot of colourful characters along the way, and you have a love interest, only where in animated films, the love interests always start out hating each other and then fall in love. In real life, it's the other way around. And so, with that in mind, what I have done is created the soundtrack for the University Disney movie. Not the Monsters University Disney movie, that one already exists. I didn't give a name for this one, I don't know what it would be called. Degrees. They just have one word now. So I haven't actually created the soundtrack. What I've done is taken songs you know and changed the lyrics and made you sad. So, first off, we'll get over the awkwardness of seeing a man standing alone on stage, singing to Disney songs, and then we can all have a fun old time, okay? So, did I remember to turn it off mute, Jake? On the media player, there's a little volume button next to the green volume. I'll have a look. It is unmuted. Great. Unmuted and uncensored. Okay. So, first things first. It's the time before you're even at uni, when it's just this distant, far away place you've heard of from everybody else, and it sounds like a mystical land, like they have in Disney. Cute. I have often dreamed of a far-off place where I'll pay 9,000 for what I could get for free. I will read lots of books, or at least I'll take a look. And my parents keep saying that is where I'm meant to be. I could get a job, but I don't think I'm ready. Uni's just like school, but drinking is okay. I thought every load will make me grow. But it's what my father did, so I'll do it anyway. Then you get to you. After you've sung that great song, a montage is going on during that song, you understand these things. So then you get to you, and you get to your flat, and you meet your flatmates for the first time, and you don't know anybody, no one knows about the embarrassing things you did at school. It's a clean slate, and you just so desperately want them to be your friends. So you have to do the best you can to appeal to them. Now, bear with me, because the start of this song doesn't have music, and I'll just say that that candle from Beauty and the Beast is a talented singer. Okay, take it. Be my friend, don't leave me alone again. Let's go drink and dance like buddies and stay out later than 10. I will sing, I will beg, I will clean until I'm dead. Got company, be promiscuous, don't mind me, I'll just do your dishes. Take my milk, eat my bread, what goes inside the fridge is free to take, I guess. Sure, you can use my shampoo washing liquid, then you will be my friend. Be my friend, oh please! Be my friend. The thing about singing songs, I'm used to doing stand-up where I can go at my own pace. Singers don't get that luxury. If they miss it, they're screwed. And you saw that today. I've just been singing into a mirror all day. So I'm very tired. This is just my attempt to get you on my side for the potential many failures we'll have. But we'll have them together, and we'll grow as people. Okay, now what comes next? I remember what comes next. Okay, so when you come to university, as I already mentioned, you meet a lot of new people. And these new people, they don't know you. But they should know you, because you're cool. You're an interesting person. You've done cool things, and you want them to know about that. So, cue the music, because this one has a long lead in. You need to tell everybody about what a cool person you are. How interesting. Killing time. Well, I went to Greece on my gap year, and there I swam in the sea. I would legalize pot if it were not for the fact that I'm not an MP. I used to be a vegetarian, but I couldn't stop eating beef. Do you like this shirt I'm wearing? I think the charity shop is boutique. Oh, OPD, I want to talk about me. Have you heard about me? I'm so great, you see. You'll want to be hanging out with me. Because I gotta tell you why I didn't like Iron Man 3. We all did it at the start of university, had opinions we'd gotten off the internet that we thought were our own, and told everyone about. We all did it. Oh, I did anyway. Maybe that was why I had to sit. Maybe that was why I struggled so much to make friends. Another thing that a lot of... The sympathy, it's working. Remember that when I mess up. A pivotal moment in a pivotal series of moments, growing your hair takes time. For a lot of men at university at least, is growing your hair out or growing your beard, because you're no longer around your parents anymore. People don't care if you look scruffy. And you want to stand out from the crowd, and the beard is an excellent substitute for a personality. So, it looks like my content is relatable. Yes. So, this is a song about what is definitely an absolutely integral moment in everyone's university life: gender not mattering. Okay, so cue the music. What's my deal? What look can I steal? I wanna get a haircut that'll make the lady squeal. Could get a fro, wait, that's a no-go. On my chin is where I'm gonna let the hair grow. I was a no one, a weirdo. Now I have grown one, a beardo. My key trait was that I was fat. From widow to beardo, 3 weeks flat. Widow to beardo, gets me twat. You were shoot. You were shoot. Next up, we have something of a villain song for the movie, because this is a horror everyone will encounter at some point in university, and so this song is about that. Keep the music. No! Why is that one there? Spoilers! I forgot to reset, sorry. Lectures at 9 should be a crime, I'm going to bed now. Hearing my alarm does me such harm, back to sleep. Why do they do this to me? They should be at 2 or 3. On second thoughts, I think I'd rather have a cup of tea. Lectures at 9 should be a crime, I'm going to bed now. Were they at 10, you might see me then, potentially. I'd rather be living through dreams. I'm happier in there it seems. But then my alarm screams for lectures at 9. That was a villain song. Then you've heard the beginning, and you probably all heard the song anyway because everyone loves Moana. Then later on in university, you become more confident, because university is a confidence building experience. I certainly wouldn't have been doing this when I started uni, maybe with good reason. University makes you more confident, more ready to talk to people, tell them about how you're feeling, and to maybe finally talk to your housemates, start the music. Talk to your housemates about some of the things they do that you don't like in July, at the end of your first. It's about that. What has a mop and cleaned up your sick while you were touching your dick this yet? When the sink got blocked, who pulled your pubes from down below? You're looking at him, bro. Oh, also I called up your mum. You're welcome. the time that you cut off your thumb. Also, you ate all my cheese. You're welcome. And then you even lost my keys. So what can I say except you're welcome for the piss that I've cleaned off the floor. You've nothing to say? Oh, that's okay. You're welcome. Ha! I guess it's just your way of showing love. You asshole. Dickhead. Welcome to think of it. Sex is a key part of university for a lot of people, I gather. This is a song to do with that. You see, I was thinking that Disney haven't yet had a song about someone's first gay experience, so I wrote one. Not about myself. It's about a theoretical, very nice man. So this is my woke, pretty lewd Disney song. Probably wouldn't get a U rating or even a PG. Start the music. Apologies, Toy Story fans. That being everyone. You got your end in me. You got your end in me. You got a penis, and I got one too. Just give me a minute, 'cause I really need the lube. We'll get to shagging when I get back. When you got your end in me. When you got your end in me. Is that a snake in your boot, or are you just pleased to see me? You got your end in me. We're both consenting and we're over 16, so it's totally fine for you to touch my feet. I brought protection so we can play it safe when you got your end in me. When you got your end in me. Some cocks might be a little bit bigger than mine is. Thicker and shaven too, maybe. But none of them will ever do you the way I do. Pal, it's me and you, babe. And as the years go by, my erection will surely die. You're gonna see that I'll get ED. But you can still put your end in. You can still put your end in me. You can still put your end in me. Think about doing this song. It always gives me a buzz. And a woody. And now, for the spiners in the audience. It's coming. I'm leading on this one. Oi! TN2 fin and me. TN2 fin and me. TN2 fin and me. TN2 fin and me. And you get it. Thank you to Google Translate for the translation for it. I didn't check the pronunciation. Sorry, Toy Story fans and Spanish people, probably most of the world. But finally, university, as with all things, comes to an end. And what could be at the end of university? What else? A special moment that definitely needs a song. It doesn't need a microphone because I don't want to hurt your ears. It's a big moment. The sun is setting, rather than rising like in the movie. Graduation! Gonna get your degree. My name's Jim. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show. This bit's done.
Good luck for everyone.